Jason was a man with a gentle smile and hands that always smelled faintly of spices and warm bread. He was a single dad, and his whole world revolved around his daughter, Lily, who was as sweet as honey. Their small home, filled with laughter and the aroma of whatever Jason had cooked, might not have been fancy, but it was always full of love. Every morning, Jason would wake before the sun, slipping into his worn chef's whites to head to the local diner. There he'd flip pancakes, sizzle bacon, and stir pots of chili, making sure every customer left with a full belly and a happy heart. It was hard work, long hours on his feet, but every penny he earned was for Lily. He wanted to give her everything he could, even if it wasn't always the most expensive toy or the fanciest clothes. For them, joy was in the simple things, like a shared giggle over a silly joke or a warm hug at the end of a long day. Lily, with her bright eyes and a skip in her step, understood this perfectly. Every morning before Jason left for the diner, he carefully packed Lily's lunch. It was a ritual filled with quiet love. He'd spread peanut butter and jelly on soft bread, making sure the crusts were neatly trimmed, just how Lily liked them. Sometimes a crisp apple or a small bag of carrots would join the sandwich, always tucked next to a handwritten note. "Have a wonderful day, my little sunshine," or "Thinking of you, love, Dad." These lunches weren't fancy. There were no elaborate bento boxes, no gourmet wraps or exotic fruits. They were simple, honest meals, packed with the best ingredient of all, Jason's unwavering love. Lily never complained. She knew her dad worked incredibly hard, and she loved the taste of his homemade sandwiches made with care. Each bite felt like a warm hug, a reminder of her dad's constant presence even when he was busy at the diner. The simple brown paper bag, tucked into her backpack, felt heavy with affection, a silent promise that she was cherished. One sunny afternoon, the school held its annual spring picnic. The playground buzzed with laughter and blankets dotted the grass, laden with an impressive array of food. Parents, dressed in their best casual wear, laid out colorful spreads. Sushi rolls, organic fruit salads, artisanal cheeses, and miniature quiches. Jason, having just finished his morning shift, arrived a little late, carrying Lily's usual brown paper bag lunch, which held her favorite peanut butter and jelly sandwich, an apple, and a small juice box. As he settled down with Lily, a few parents nearby glanced at their simple fare. Whispers started, light as summer breezes but sharp enough to catch Jason's ear. "Is that all she's having?" one mom murmured, covering her mouth to hide a giggle. Another chimed in, "Poor thing, no wonder she always looks so plain." Jason felt a tightening in his chest, a familiar pang of sadness. He knew his efforts were sincere, but the judgment stung not for himself, but for Lily. He hugged her a little tighter, trying to shield her from the unkindness. Jason tried to keep his face bright for Lily, chatting about the fun games he'd seen. But when he looked at her, he saw her small shoulders slump a little. Her usually sparkling eyes were cast down, fixed on her simple sandwich as if it were suddenly very interesting. A faint blush crept up her cheeks. It wasn't a tantrum or a complaint, but a quiet, subtle embarrassment that twisted Jason's heart. He knew she understood the whispers, the unspoken judgments. Seeing his happy, carefree Lily suddenly feel small and ashamed because of a simple lunch was more painful than any insult directed at him. That evening, after Lily was tucked into bed, Jason sat in the quiet living room, the sting of the picnic still fresh. He thought about the other parents, their flashy lunches, and their careless words. But mostly he thought about Lily's downcast gaze. He couldn't stand the thought of her feeling that way again. A fierce determination began to bubble inside him. He might not have endless money, but he had a chef's hands and a father's love. He decided then and there he would show them. He would show them that true richness wasn't about fancy food, but about the love that went into it. He would do something special. Weeks later, a notice came home from school. Family Food Festival. It was an event where parents brought in their favorite homemade dishes to share, a celebration of different cultures and cooking. When Lily showed Jason the flyer, her eyes were wide with excitement, but a tiny flicker of worry crossed her face. She probably remembered the picnic. Jason, however, saw something different. This wasn't just another picnic, it was an opportunity. This was his chance to turn that sadness into joy, to show Lily and everyone else what he truly brought to the table. A quiet smile spread across his face. He wouldn't just pack a simple lunch this time. This was going to be an event, a showcase of the love he put into every meal. He spent his evenings poring over cookbooks, sketching out ideas, and making lists. Lily noticed his extra work, but he just winked and said, "It's a secret sweet pea, a very delicious secret." His heart was buzzing with a new kind of energy, a happy, determined hum. The morning of the family food festival, Jason's alarm went off long before the birds began to sing. He tiptoed into the kitchen, a quiet hum of excitement filling the air. This wasn't just diner cooking. This was an act of love, a symphony of flavors meant to make his daughter glow. He pulled out his best pots and pans, the ones usually reserved for special Sunday dinners. First, he started a rich, savory chicken and vegetable stew, letting it simmer slowly, filling the house with a comforting aroma. Then, with nimble fingers, he shaped small, fluffy cornbread muffins, golden and warm. For something sweet, he baked miniature apple tarts, their crusts flaky and their filling spiced just right. Each dish was simple, yet made with the care and skill of a seasoned cook, and more importantly, with every ounce of his heart. He tasted, adjusted, and smiled, imagining Lily's happy face. This meal wasn't just food. It was a warm embrace, a silent promise that her dad was always there, ready to fill her life with goodness. When Jason and Lily arrived at the school festival, the air was already thick with the scent of many different foods. Tables were laden with colorful dishes, some intricate, some simple, but all proudly displayed. Jason, however, carried his offerings with a quiet confidence. He carefully arranged his bubbling chicken stew in a large crock pot, placed the golden cornbread muffins in a wicker basket lined with a clean cloth, and set out the small, glistening apple tarts on a pretty platter. As the steam rose from the stew, a wonderful, comforting aroma began to spread. It was a smell of home, of warmth, of honest-to-goodness cooking. It drifted past the delicate mini quiches and the artfully arranged fruit skewers, past the spicy tacos and the sweet cupcakes. Heads began to turn. Parents who had been chatting among themselves paused mid-sentence, their noses twitching. Children playing tag nearby stopped and sniffed the air, their eyes wide. A line, small at first, began to form in front of Jason's humble display. The enticing smell was doing its job, drawing people in, one curious sniff at a time. Lily, standing beside her dad, watched with a growing smile. Soon, the small line at Jason's table grew longer. The very parents who had whispered and giggled at the picnic now edged closer, their curiosity winning over their earlier judgment. Mrs. Henderson, who had snickered about Lily's plain lunch, hesitated, then cautiously asked for a taste of the stew. Jason, with a kind smile, served her a small cup. She took a spoonful, her eyes widening. "Oh my goodness," she breathed, "this is incredible." Another parent, Mr. Davies, famous for his elaborate gourmet sandwiches, tried a cornbread muffin. "It's so fluffy and that hint of sweetness." "Simply perfect," he exclaimed, reaching for another. Soon exclamations of delight filled the air. "The stew is so rich. These apple tarts taste like sunshine." The parents were genuinely amazed. They hadn't expected such flavors from the quiet diner cook. Their faces, once filled with polite indifference or subtle mockery, now showed genuine surprise and delight. Jason simply smiled, his heart swelling with a quiet triumph. He didn't need fancy ingredients to make good food, he just needed love and skill. As the parents heaped praise on Jason's cooking, Lily stood beside him, her small chest puffed out with immense pride. Her eyes, which had been downcast at the last school event, now sparkled brighter than ever. She watched as Mrs. Henderson, who had once whispered about her lunch, eagerly took a second helping of the apple tart. She saw Mr. Davies, the fancy sandwich dad, nodding his head in approval while savoring a cornbread muffin. Lily didn't say much, but her wide, joyful smile spoke volumes. She kept glancing up at her dad, a look of pure adoration on her face. Seeing Lily so happy, so proud, was the greatest reward for Jason. It washed away every sting of the past, every tired moment, every early morning. His heart swelled with a happiness so profound it almost brought tears to his eyes. This was why he worked so hard, why he cooked with such passion, not for applause but for that radiant smile on his daughter's face. In that moment, surrounded by people enjoying his food and Lily beaming beside him, Jason felt like the richest man in the world. Among the crowd of delighted parents was Ms. Evans, Lily's teacher. She was a kind woman with warm eyes and a gentle smile, and she had always noticed Lily's quiet nature and her simple, yet lovingly packed, lunches. Today, however, Ms. Evans saw something truly special. She watched as Jason served his dishes, his movements practiced and graceful, a quiet pride in his posture. But more than the delicious food, she saw the glow on Lily's face. The little girl was practically radiating happiness, her eyes fixed on her dad with a look of pure love and admiration. Ms. Evans had a taste of the stew and the cornbread herself, and she understood. This wasn't just good cooking. It was cooking infused with devotion. Every ingredient, every stir, every bake spoke of a father's unwavering love for his child. She saw the effort, the care, and the deep affection behind every dish. She saw Jason not just as a diner cook, but as a man of great heart, someone who went above and beyond for his daughter. A quiet respect bloomed in her heart for Jason. With a warm smile, Ms. Evans approached Jason's table. "Mr. Turner," she began, her voice soft but clear, "this food is truly wonderful. Lily has told me how much she loves your cooking, and now I understand why." Jason, busy serving a child, looked up, a little surprised by her directness. He humbly thanked her, but Ms. Evans wasn't finished. "It's not just the delicious flavors, though," she continued, her gaze meeting his. "It's the heart you put into it. I see how much you love Lily, and it shines through in everything you do for her, especially today." Her words weren't just about the food, they were about him. They acknowledged his effort, his struggles, and his boundless love for his daughter. Jason felt a warmth spread through him that had nothing to do with the hot stew. It was a feeling of being truly seen, truly appreciated, not for his cooking skills alone, but for the man he was as a father. A shy smile touched his lips. "Thank you, Ms. Evans," he said, his voice a little softer than usual. "That means a lot." Lily, noticing the kind exchange, squeezed her dad's hand, her eyes sparkling. After the festival, a subtle change happened. When Jason dropped Lily off at school, he found himself lingering a little longer. Ms. Evans, instead of just a quick good morning, would often stop to chat. Their conversations started simply, about Lily's progress in class or upcoming school events. But soon, they began to share more, a funny story from their day, a small observation about the children, or even just a knowing smile across a crowded hallway. At school plays or parent-teacher nights, Jason no longer felt quite so alone on the sidelines. Ms. Evans would seek him out, her warm smile a comforting presence. They would talk about everything and nothing, finding common ground in their shared care for Lily and the other students. Jason found himself looking forward to these brief chats, to the kind understanding in her eyes. It was a pleasant feeling, a gentle warmth that began to fill a space he hadn't realized was empty. The world felt a little brighter, a little less daunting, with Ms. Evans's quiet presence and genuine kindness. Those brief schoolyard chats slowly blossomed into something deeper. Jason and Ms. Evans found themselves talking about more than just school matters. They discovered a shared love for old movies, a mutual fondness for quiet evenings with a good book, and even a similar sense of humor that led to easy laughter. Ms. Evans learned about Jason's dreams for Lily, his dedication at the diner, and the simple joys that filled his life. Jason, in turn, learned about Ms. Evans's passion for teaching, her gentle way with children, and the calm strength that lay beneath her kind smile. Their friendship felt like a warm, gentle breeze on a sunny day. It was comfortable and easy, without any pressure or pretense. Jason, who had been focused solely on Lily for so long, found a new kind of companionship. He looked forward to seeing Ms. Evans, to sharing a thought or a chuckle. It was a special bond, woven from respect and genuine understanding, making both their lives a little brighter, a little less solitary. Lily, observant as ever, noticed the friendly glances and longer conversations, and a happy, knowing smile would often play on her lips. Their friendship blossomed, and Jason began to notice something truly special about Ms. Evans. Other parents, even after the food festival, often saw him as Lily's dad, the diner cook. They might compliment his cooking now, but the whispers about his simple life sometimes still reached his ears. Ms. Evans, however, was different. When she looked at him, he didn't feel judged or labeled. She saw past his diner uniform and his modest home. She saw the patient father who helped Lily with her homework every night, even after a long shift. She saw the loving heart that went into every lunch he packed, simple or grand. She saw the man who sacrificed his own desires to ensure his daughter's happiness. It was a profound realization for Jason. Ms. Evans saw his true self, a loving dad doing his best, a man with a good heart and strong values. This understanding, this deep acceptance, made him feel valued in a way he hadn't experienced in a very long time. It was a refreshing feeling, like cool water on a hot day, and it made him look at Ms. Evans with new eyes. Ms. Evans, observing Jason over the weeks, saw past the outward signs of his simple life. She didn't measure him by the size of his wallet or the brand of his car. Instead, she saw a man rich in spirit. She saw the unwavering dedication in his eyes when he talked about Lily, the gentle patience he showed, and the sacrifices he made without a second thought. His wealth wasn't in fancy things. It was in the boundless love he poured into Lily's life, in the strong, steady foundation he provided for her. She understood that true value lay not in material possessions, but in kindness, integrity, and genuine affection. Jason's big, caring heart, his tireless efforts, and the pure, unconditional love he gave Lily, these were his true treasures. This perspective made him shine brightly in her eyes, far more than any parent with a bigger house or a fancier job. Ms. Evans saw a man who had everything that truly mattered, and her admiration for him deepened with each passing day. With a shared understanding and a growing appreciation for each other, Jason and Ms. Evans found their feelings deepening. Their friendly chats started turning into longer conversations, often over coffee after school or during a quiet evening call. They began to explore their common interests, venturing out for walks in the park or visiting small, cozy bookstores. Jason found himself laughing more easily, and Ms. Evans felt a lightness she hadn't realized she was missing. What began as mutual respect and encouragement had gently blossomed into something more tender, more profound. It wasn't a whirlwind romance, but a slow, steady growth, like a strong tree putting down roots. It was built on the foundation of genuine admiration for each other's character and the simple joys they found in shared moments. This unexpected connection, emerging from a school event and a father's love, showed them both that true love could be found in the most unassuming places, proving that the heart knows its own path. Lily, of course, was delighted, sensing the new happiness that filled their small family. Time continued to weave its magic, and soon Jason, Lily, and Ms. Evans formed a beautiful, happy family. Their small home, once just Jason and Lily's, now buzzed with 3 times the laughter and warmth. Ms. Evans, whose first name was Sarah, filled their lives with her gentle wisdom and loving presence. Family dinners were a joyous affair, with Jason still cooking up delicious meals, often with Sarah and Lily helping. Lily no longer worried about simple lunches. She knew her family's love was the most important ingredient. The whispers and judgments of other parents faded into the background, no longer holding any power. Jason had found a partner who saw his true worth, and Lily had gained a loving stepmother. Together, they proved that true wealth isn't measured in fancy cars or big houses, but in the richness of the heart, the strength of family bonds, and the boundless love shared between them. Their story was a sweet reminder that kindness, devotion, and genuine connection are the most precious treasures of all, creating a life far more valuable than any material